Good morning, all members of Congress. My name is Jenny Chen, a proud member of National Association of Social Workers. NSSW has worked with individuals, families, communities to seek to enhance the effective functioning and well-being, and has a strong coalition building with different members throughout the communities at all levels since 1955. It is an honor and privilege to present this testimony on behalf of voiceless victims of vulnerable elderly populations. In the United States, it is expected that by 2050, people of age 65 and older are expected to comprise 20% of the total U.S. population. 14.1% of non-institutionalized older adults in the United States have experienced some form of abuse, neglect, physical and emotional abuse, and financial exploitation. The death rate among elderly is increasing. An increase of financial loss is continuing to persist as an enormous challenge in the nation. Many of those cases are underreported and under-prosecuted. There are many hidden cases of elderly victims who are too ashamed to come forward. Elder Prevention and Abuse Act was introduced in September 2013 to amend the Older Americans Act of 1965 by Representative Cartwright. The purpose of this bill is to bridge the gap between helping victims of abuse and providing effective programs by monitoring the funds, improving of elderly protection programs with standardization data collecting system, and providing appropriate training in elder abuse prevention. Representative Cartwright supported various issues such as the senior issues like legislation to educate seniors about their rights. The bill has gained support from 47 sponsors from Democratic Party and one sponsor from Republican Party ever since. 1965, U.S. government recognized the needs of providing basic necessaries to older population in terms of reducing hunger, promoting socialization of older individuals and well-being by authorizing legislation of the Older Americans Act. In 2010, the Elder Justice Act was passed as part of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, which required establishing communication requirements and reporting of crimes in long-term care facilities. Federal funding and state grants were funded throughout the different agencies, such as the local area agencies, adult protective services, long-term care, ombudsman, and training programs, and many funding were absorbed by other programs under child abuse and domestic violences. We need to promote better funding to establish a standardization data collecting system and to provide the proper training to many professionals. Each state has a different statutory, therefore collecting data through use of core common elements across the states will be an important source to adult protective services and investigations. Among many different service sectors need to be able to link different information, healthcare, social services, legal and criminal justice system. This will allow many social workers and other professionals to access to different records on individuals, which will help recognize patterns of abuse activities. We need to bring more experts in the research field and provide appropriate skill training to many professions working with elderly. To understand what and how to implement effective training programs, we must understand certain risk factors related to a decline in cognitive function, risk factors of elder abuse, and culture among elderly populations. We must bring this silent epidemic of elder abuse to an end. We have an obligation to protect our parents and neighbors who have helped to build our nation. Elder Prevention and Abuse Act is an important step in the right direction in stopping the abuse and neglect of our older citizens. In closing, I would like to offer you assistance to answer any questions some of you might have on the Elder Prevention and Abuse Act. I would like to thank you to all members of Congress on behalf of our elderly populations and looking forward to working together to better nation.